Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure meeting you all this afternoon. So most of us are well-known faces. Welcome, Alina and Sanjana. It's the first time I'm meeting you guys as well. I want to take this opportunity to wish you guys a very happy Teachers' Day, to a day to celebrate ourselves and our children and all our students, in fact. So today, our in-house trainers from Thinkeng have put together a session discussing various effective classroom management techniques, including using effective ICQs, avoiding over-explaining, and as well as giving effective feedback, and also, sorry, I missed that last one, grading language is most important for your students. So Thinkeng, a short thing about Thinkeng, it started in 2020 with the aim to make good quality English language teaching accessible to all. So each one of us will come forward, we'll have a discussion followed by a group discussion, getting your ideas from your experiences in your classrooms and with your students. We have Aparna first, who's the academic director of Thinkeng, who will be giving her input today on the grading language. Aparna brings a rich experience of 15 years in the ELT industry from BC to Trinity College, from teacher to teacher training. She is a wealth of knowledge. I give it over to Aparna to take over and start our session.
Thank you, Sylvia. Sorry. 1 second. Right, so grading language is something which we all have heard about and used, but not much. So I would like you all to give me your answer for this. So what does grading language really mean? And do you think it's important and why?
I can answer if nobody
Yes.
else is. I was just waiting for somebody outside of Thinkeng to maybe pitch in.
So was I actually.
You can go, Sanjana, no problem.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you. So I think according to me, I mean, I might be coming from more of like allocating in terms of class and management perspective. But then for me, it when you say grading, I think it means effectively allocating students as per the same ability level, or rather grouping them based on similar ability groups. Accordingly, in order to ensure effective results for the student and the teacher, because in the end of the day, we do not want, it to be a waste of time for, more importantly, the student. So that, according to me, is grading. And why I think it's important is, just how I mentioned, it just makes it so much easier for everyone to be in the same level. So it's an enriching experience for both the teacher and the student. So we don't effectively waste time in class if we know that, we're catering to a very wide group of students and different abilities that they come from.
Right. So that you have taken the aspect of grading the students into different levels. So here we're also talking not only that is a very good thing that you do, and that is very important, as you said. But here we're talking about the teacher grading their language for the students. So what does that mean? Can anybody else give me the answer for that? Can somebody else try?
I can. So,
Yes.
so I think grading your language means you use vocabulary or words or any sort of language that is easily understandable for the level that you are teaching, and not above or below it.
So why do you think it is necessary or important?
Because I think in a language classroom, especially, you're a sponge. You're taking in everything that the teacher is giving you. So when the teacher, suppose uses language that is way past your ability at the moment, I feel like it makes students feel like very unfamiliar in the classroom. They're not in a safe setting where they can learn according to their abilities, and I think it becomes very discouraging for students when they can't understand what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely right. Grading language is to simplify what you're saying, either by speaking more slowly or using grammar and vocabulary. It's not just about speaking slowly. It's also about choosing, like Nikita said, choosing the right vocabulary or the words. And as you said, it is important to promote the overall understanding for the students. It's not just the understanding, it also helps in the students listening, because at the end of the day, they learn the language when they listen to the language. So it's very important to grade your language when you're teaching. So I'm going to show you an example here. Which one would be the best option among the two? Chitra, can you give me the answer for this?
Yeah, second one. Depends,
Why?
of course, it depends on the level of the students.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're in a B2 classroom or C1 classroom, they would prefer to have you use higher level language.
Very good. Yes. So when you say grading, it's very good, Chitra. It's not just simplifying. It also means you need to know the level of the students, like what Sanjana said. Based on the levels that you have put the students into, you use a respective language. When you go to a C2 or the advanced level or the C1 level class, you don't go and tell, today we are going to talk about healthy food and learn new words. It's too simple for them. They'll say the teacher is, maybe she doesn't know the language. So it's always better to understand your students' level and grade your language accordingly. So let's do a small activity here. Right? So here I'll need Surya's help to use the breakout room. The first thing I'm going to do is show you the
I've put it in the chat window as well. Yeah. Okay, I'm joining Alina's group.
Okay, so I'll join you.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. So, do you have the question with you? Or I took a picture of it, so I'm fine. But I'm
I had the
just checking.
screenshot here. I can't find the screenshot now. Hold on. Where did the screenshot go?
I'll send it to you and WhatsApp it.
Yeah. I just sent the screenshot from my computer and I can't see it on mine now.
It's just a photo. We'll try that.
Yeah, that's fine, Smitha.
I'll WhatsApp it.
Yeah. I'll just share the screen. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, what I'd like you to do is instructions given to students to watch a video and answer the questions. What are the difficult language in this? Okay.
Maybe jot down anything depending on how.
Yeah. I think I'll make a note of it. Jot down.
Also, I feel like the instruction towards the end. So if you don't quite get it the first time or can't come up with the answers, it's too long-winded, I think.
And you finally don't quite get it. Like
Yes.
it just seems like what? I can so see my elementary students get puzzled by this. Like, don't quite, ma'am, should we be quiet? Yeah, the options are too much. And then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
Also, I wouldn't really give the last instruction. You can watch the video again, and stopping it in between can really help. I think that's more of an instruction for me as a teacher that I would put in my lesson plan, maybe.
Yeah. Not something you would tell the student.
That's right.
Yeah.
And after giving all the instruction, if it doesn't work, then you'll have to come back to me like, after hearing the entire.
Yes, absolutely. I think they would ask also, ma'am, can you repeat?
Or they'll get confused. They'll ask 10 different questions, and then you get confused. So.
Absolutely. I also feel what I'd like you to do yourself start isn't really you will be watching, like it should be a very instruction language. This is more so like a whatever
if you want to.
If you and it's too casual. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me stop. We can go back to the main room then.
So I'll leave the room.
Yeah.
I think we're the only ones in the main room.
One second, I'm just going to close the rooms. So is this one of the places that you struggle with, Alina, giving instructions? Or are you very
comfortable? That depends. I think it's easier for the more, I guess it's easier for IELTS. I feel like if I'm taking my IELTS classes, for example, it's more easy for me. Otherwise, it gets a little, I have to work on it a little bit more.
Right.
While I'm planning my lesson, I have to think twice, can I make it better? Or is it difficult? But otherwise, I think I can manage. I was really bullied into it. I'm using that term loosely by my team giving proper instruction.
Right. Yeah. So I think instructions was my biggest point area of improvement also when it came to my shelter feedback.
Especially I used to use what I'd like you to do in the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
So it's close to
that just seems very familiar because we've been probably using it and now we know like it's not.
Yeah.
So guys, we were talking about what I'd like you to do. Hi Radha. By the way.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? Happy
Good.
Teachers Day. Belated
Thank you. Same to you.
Radha meet Alina. Alina meet Radha. Surya,
Hello.
have you guys met? You have,
No, I don't think.
No, Surya is a new member in Thinkeng team, Radha.
Yeah, we met in the breakout room briefly.
Yes.
To say hello. That's it.
How the other room seems to be discussing for so long. I don't know what Mom's keeping.
No. Actually, I think my breakout room is set for, and it's not closed. Like it's there's still 65 seconds showing.
Right.
Yeah, now they're back. Yeah. So do you want to? Yeah, fine.
Right. So thank you, Surya, for helping me with the breakout
Sure.
room. So I have been in one of the breakout rooms. So the others, can one of the people who have been discussing come out with your answers?
Sure.
Show us the screen once. Yeah.
1 minute.
Alina, you can go ahead from our group.
Yeah, rather you should say it from ours.
So the three of us agreed that what I'd like you to do was a bit of a problem because it wasn't instructional enough. So that's something that we would change.
Yes.
And the next one is don't anything you think is important. Again, depending on the classroom, maybe jot down might be a phrase that not everyone's sure of. So that's something that I would change. And the last paragraph, if you don't quite get it the first time or can't come up with answers, I think the whole paragraph could use a lot of. Also, it's something that maybe I would add my lesson plan as a note to myself, especially the second sentence. You can watch the video again. By me, I mean all three of us. So I'm speaking on behalf of all three of us and stopping it in between. That's something that all of us would give ourselves as an instruction while we're planning our lesson.
Right.
And yeah.
That's it. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah. Sorry.
Who was the other?
Radha was going to say.
Radha was going to say something.
Yeah, so a few points were common, like what Alina had already mentioned. Additionally, I would say it's like too many things to do at the same time. And that is a problem that student might be confused. So maybe like a solution, like we discussed a few solutions that could help is like a flow chart, like, like a slide before this explaining the instructions, what is to be done can be there. And also it depends on the level, the language that we are using, that also. And also Surileka mentioned signaling words. That's also was a good thing to jot down. And I suggested maybe like, I don't know whether warmer can be based on instructions. So if this is the first activity, then maybe like the instructions can be written and then the students can put 1 to 10 in order or 1 to 5 in order. They discover it and then
the instructions.
Yes, and then going to
That's
this.
a good idea. Yeah. Right. So let's look at it. I'm going to break it down and go in detail of what is the thing that we should have in mind, which we need to avoid using, especially in the elementary or the pre-int levels. I'm focusing more on the lower levels in this, not on the higher levels. So take a look at this. I have different colors here. Why do you think I have given the color purple for just one? All the others, you all gave me the same answer. These can be knocked out actually. You don't need so many words there. But why have I marked, watch the video which looks out magnetic poles?
That's the main part of the...
Absolutely. The green part is a complex grammar which will just go over their heads, especially for the elementary and pre-ints. And the most important thing which they have to do is also complicating here, saying, look at magnetic poles. They wouldn't understand that. Right. Well done here, all of you. The next one. This is the simplified thing. Most of you came out with this. I think Chitra gave me these points. But in this also, there is something that hinders their understanding. One of you gave me one word of jot down. What other things do you think will...
Third sentence there can be left out, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of use of phrasal verbs here.
That's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think also it seems... I'm so sorry for barging.
No problem.
Also, it seems like the teacher has less faith in the students. If you can't come up with the answers, if that doesn't work, I think the teacher's giving up even before the students have done anything. So that's something that
I think sometimes the teacher, sorry to interrupt, but sometimes the teacher like wants to help so badly that she overdoes it.
Yes.
Speaking from experience.
You go a little overboard too.
Going overboard.
Right. So these are things that they will not understand at the elementary level. Looks at and jot down and come up with, get back. So these are the instructions. Finally, I think Chitra came up with the word write down. Write down important information.
Yeah.
Can I add something to this? Like,
sure.
This we were discussing while giving feedback. A challenge that I face is, after observing teachers, since in our platform we also have non-CELTA teachers, that becomes a challenging. Immediately, we use jargons like ICQ. They don't know, and then when we sit down to explain, now they become defensive.
Yes.
So there it becomes really challenging to instruct them. TTT should be low. It should be simple. So,
the best thing is to get them to do an activity and then tell them, which did you think easier, this one or that one? Then they'll understand, oh, so this is why we are so straight away giving them the jargons.
Okay.
So
one more suggestion to what you had from the previous slide, like how you can separate it. Like, this is the complex grammar which they won't understand. This is the vocabulary. So if you kind of, segment it in that way, I think it might be a little more easier for them to understand. They see it visually, right? Like, this is actually a chunk which wasn't useful that I actually said. So maybe that can help, even for a non-CELTA trainer.
Teacher, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually true. Maybe I can pick up the examples and tell them and discuss.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So,
thank you.
Now you can see the difference. The initial instructions that were given only had 3 bullet points, but had a whole lot of language in it, which is not necessary. There's 5 bullet points, but very crisp and short. And the students will get it in no time. So that is where we as teachers have to be aware of what language we use with each level, whether it be the lower levels or the higher levels. As you all said, based on your level, you grade your language. I keep saying grade your language, but what are the tips you think you can use to grade your language? What are the things that you can think of?
First thing that comes to my mind is
open discussion. You all can come up with your answers.
The first thing is be direct, to the point.
Okay.
As much as possible.
Anything else? Anybody else?
I think it doesn't harm at any level to stick to basic language while giving instructions.
Okay.
Even when you're at a higher level, I think it doesn't harm using simple words to give instructions, especially.
Right. Because the ultimate aim is to get them to understand the task and learn from the task. Right. Anything else?
Short sentences, probably starting with the verb. Imperative sentences starting with the verb.
Yeah.
And also,
you give an example.
We tend to, sorry, Radha, you're saying something?
Sorry, no. I just said, can I get an example?
Oh, from Chitra.
Sure. What's the video? It's about what Aparna had written actually.
Yeah.
So
write down
the work.
Write down the answers. Watch carefully. Write down. No, not carefully. I guess. Then it'll be like telling them you're not watching. Watch the
video carefully
and answer the questions. No, they will be watching carefully. That's expected. So I don't know if we need to
I think now it's all in all our heads that, oh, we shouldn't feel like the students. We're dumbing down the students.
We don't need adverbs. We just need
Right.
No, I was going to add, certain times we even add negative phrases unnecessarily. Like, don't forget, don't do this. So don't tell me what not to do. Just stick to what is to be done.
Yes, correct.
Can be discouraging.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. One is the speed. I had this experience when I was working in British Council. I was given an upper intermediate class from 7 to 9, and immediately I had an elementary class. And that was the first time I'm doing an elementary. And I finished the class and I got into this elementary class and I went and said, good morning, everybody. So how are you all doing today? They all literally stared into my mouth because they didn't understand a word. I went at this speed. And then I said, I'm sorry. And I said, good morning. How are you? And I had Koreans in class. So immediately they all gave me a broad smile. because it was slow and easy to understand. The next is range of vocabulary. We have a lot of vocabulary for everything, but simplify it. And grammatical constructions, you don't have to show off your complex grammar and compound sentences there. Make it as simple as possible. And these are the tips, some of the tips that I can come up.
Yeah.
This point I would like to clarify. When you're talking, you find elementary students telling without articles and without be verb. You don't have to do that to them because they will never learn the language. You use the full sentence. If they don't understand, they'll ask you, why using is, ma'am? So you can explain it there. So while speaking itself, you're actually teaching them the language. And here it is, say things in a different way, like paraphrasing, but again, simplifying depending on the level. The last one is introducing new vocabulary periodically when you're talking to them, even when you're talking to them about their day-to-day, like you have a small talk with them before the class starts. There is no harm in using a new word there. They might not understand them. Then you can ask them, so did you do this? And if they say, ma'am, I didn't understand the word, then you can explain it to them. So they learn a new word by having a conversation with you also. And they don't feel that kind of a barrier or they don't feel they've heard a big jargon in English by hearing it from you during the small talk, not just during teaching, right? Last but not the least, and the most important thing, this one. You're not talking at them. When you start talking so much, you're only talking at them and you're not talking with them. When you don't talk with them, they will feel that the class is a waste. So always bear in mind that I would say from personal experience, we're talking to an elementary or pre-intermediate student. Imagine you're teaching a first standard child. I'm not saying present first standard children are much higher than us, but I'm telling earlier days, the first standard children would not have the grammar or the vocabulary. So when you talk to them, what speed do you talk? What language do you use? Simple instructions, simple language, even when talking to them casually. So that is very, very important. And when you do that, the students open up and understand things better and learn better. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna. That was wonderful. All right. So now I'd like to introduce Smitha. She is also a Cambridge Celsius certified trainer who's joined the team recently, and she brings with her an eagerness to learn and adapt. And she would like to bring her inputs on using effective ICQs. Over to you, Smitha.
Thanks, Vivia. Share my Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My Wi-Fi is a little unstable, so sorry if there's any disturbance in between. Yes, thanks, Aparna. You introduced a lot of instructions or the grading of language, so it's easier for me to take over from there. Here, we've seen these kind of expressions when we give instructions to students. So I think it's, sorry. So what kind of ICQs do you think is effective, or why is it important? Anybody?
Instructions are important because how else do you tell your students what you want from them or what you want them to do? I'm not going to answer all questions because I feel like I'm always talking, so I'm just going to take the first one. Someone can do the second.
Surya, would you like to?
Yeah, so for your lesson to go as you stage it and the right pace, I think instructions are quite important. Otherwise, there will be a lot of going between your students. And especially if it's a group setting or a group class, you would have to probably repeat yourself several times if you do not do an effective instruction right in the beginning before you actually set your task.
Thanks, Surya. Yes. Sanjana, yes.
Yeah, I think I concur with like both the points that were brought up as to why instructions are important in the first place. So I'm not going to repeat on that. Rather, I'd go to the second question. How do we know that the student has understood our instructions? This is something that I tend to follow. I mean, it could be very wrong, but it tends to be helpful for me, wherein it helps me also reduce my talk time in class. I tend to ask one student in my group to repeat what I have just said and list down all the instructions in the order that I listed it down in. And maybe I'll ask the first student to speak, and then I'll pause them and I'll ask the second student to speak so that I know that these many students have followed. And if any other student asks a question saying, but ma'am, I thought we had to do X, Y, and Z, I tend to ask another student to pitch in an answer. So that way I try to reduce my talk time in class.
That's another way of doing it, yes. Any other views on that? Okay, so yes, like to sum it up, it's the only way we know that the students have understood, and then they would do the task the way you want it. It's exactly what we wanted. Now, there's a quick activity for listening activity for different skills. There are different ICQs which has to be provided. First, let us look at the listening skills as to how we can or what kind of ICQs we can give for the this particular task. We can put have the breakout rooms, and each group can take one task and then prepare the ICQs accordingly. So, Sweetie, can you help me with breakout rooms? And
Sure. You can see the breakout rooms there, I think, Smitha.
Yeah. So should I open the breakout room?
Yes. I'll join Alina in her breakout room. So Smitha is actually in that group, so she doesn't have to join there then.
Yeah. Aparna.
No, don't open it yet, Surya. We might have to take screenshots.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'll be creative.
Yeah, sure. First group can take a listening task, screenshot. One person from the group can take it.
Okay.
So room 1 is Aparna and Radha.
Okay. So Aparna, can you take the screenshot, please?
Just take a picture on phone also, that's fine, whichever is easier. You're on mute, Ma, you're on mute.
Okay, I've sent it on the chat box. I hope I've sent the right screenshot.
Radha, have you taken the screenshot?
I've sent it in the chat box as well.
It's on your chat.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, I've taken.
The second group can...
Room 2 is Alina and Nikita.
Okay.
Okay. I can take the screenshot.
So we need to come up with the instructions for this.
Yes. No, you would have to prepare the ICQ. You don't have to necessarily prepare the instructions, just the ICQs alone.
Okay.
Can I go to the next task?
Yeah, it's on chat.
Yeah.
3 is Sanjana and Smitha.
So Sanjana and Ambika. Yeah, I'll join in, Surya.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have this. So.
Yeah.
Can I open the rooms?
Yes.
I'll join the third room.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Ambika. Hi. I'm just going through the previous screenshot itself.
Yeah. Let me just say, I have the screenshot here. I don't know why it's not opening up. Yeah. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in this one, she wants us basically to come up with instruction checking questions.
Okay.
So let's just quickly go through the task.
Yeah.
Second pairs to circle the correct answer in column A.
Okay.
Page and check right there. Okay. Okay. So we'll have to come up with the questions for the instructions, like as in whether they've understood it. So what kind of questions do you think, Sanjana, you would ask first?
I'm a little lost. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to.
So first, because we're setting a pattern for them here, it's a pair work. So we can ask them, one question would be, are you working in groups or with your partner?
Correct. Okay, cool.
So
We're starting
that is
from
a
there.
perfect like a choice, like it's a yes or no, so they won't like get too confused.
Yeah.
So is it a pair work or a group work?
Yeah. Pair work or individual?
Okay, are you going to work alone or with your partner?
Correct.
Okay, work alone or partner. Okay.
Which column are we supposed to look at? The right or the left?
I think A and B we can say. That would be a better
that's easier.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. I mean, even when I read the heading, like for a second, I'll be like column A, but wait, is it correctly in the left or am I getting confused? I think just saying A or B would make more sense.
Because that is what is written there. So their eyes would definitely go into that.
Yeah.
So are we circling the answers in column A or B?
Yeah.
Okay. Circle the correct answers in column A. Okay. Yeah. So A.
Or how about, are we focusing on column A or B?
Isn't that a little diluted? Like, what do you mean by focusing? Like, as in, what is the end result of it when we say?
Like, I'll just walk you through why I said that. Because when I saw this for a moment, I was just like, okay, cool, column A is there. But what is happening with column B itself? Then I myself took a moment to realize, okay, for now, let's disregard column B. So
I think, so let me probably just give you a little idea of what I would do when we're doing the activity. I would tell them not to look at column B when I'm doing the first activity at all. Like, because that's what confused us also, right? Because there were two columns.
Yeah, I got personally confused. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because column B's activity actually comes only after the first activity.
Okay. So before the first line itself, we are saying, okay, cool, we are looking at column A. Got it. Okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
So first, so I think in this, in the instructions also, you would have broken down the instruction, meaning first you would have given the instruction only for the column A and what you need to do there.
And then
we're
not
you
even
go into the column B.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, I think it might confuse the students. Smitha, am I right? Like, am I making sense?
Yes, absolutely. That's
okay. So yeah, that. So we would ask them about what else? I'm sure the task will have a time.
Yes.
How many minutes have you got to complete this? So if it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, they would answer that. We'll just do for the column A now because we think we have only 8 seconds.
Yeah. And then after that, I'd ask them, are you circling the right? Are we circling or what are we going to?
Of course, closed questions are better ICQs, right? Closed questions are better. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. We have in our group, time was a little constraint, bit of a constraint, but then.
You gave us an extremely challenging task, Smitha.
Sorry.
She gave this?
Yeah, even one because it has too many instructions.
Yeah. Right. So the first one, Radha has the answers. I think she's
Radha can share. Yeah.
Yeah, Radha can read out the.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Will you write the furniture or the room first? Will you write the names of the furniture or room first? And the second is it an individual or group activity? The third is, what are the 2 things that you'll write in the box? And will you play the audio once or twice?
Listen to the audio.
Listen to the audio. Sorry.
Once or twice.
Excellent. So any other views? Anyone else? Do you think?
No, it's the same. We discussed and gave the answers. She wrote down the questions.
Excellent. That's exactly what is necessary for the ICQs here. These 3 will cover the entire instructions which has to be given for this particular task. And let's look at another. Different skills need different kinds of ICQs, and that's what we're going to discuss here. So, for speaking, can we have the next group which did the speaking?
Sure. Alina, you want to share?
Okay, so we didn't have that much time either. So the first question that we both decided we would ask is, are you working individually or in pairs? Because it is a pair-based activity, so that's something we need to figure out. We need to be asking them. And the next question is, will you be describing the room? Now, again, we didn't have time, so I think the second one is something that requires a little.
So let me help her out a little bit. We changed the instructions of the activity itself. So we went rogue. We made we decided we would only give A's the instructions first, do the activity, then switch and just say B, do the same now, because we thought it would be simpler instead of giving all activities. So Alina, now you continue. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third question is, can you ask questions? Because the activity here mentioned that you have to ask questions to get a description. So that was one of our ICQs. But yeah, and then once we're done with one side, which is the A's, then we would give further instructions so that the B's can do the exact same, instead of making it a very long activity.
Yeah, so Alina raised a really good point in which we would be giving more ICQs than instructions at this point. Yeah, and then we'd just be talking so much, so we decided this would be better for the overall TTT of the class to split it. Yeah.
Okay, probably, but then ICQs it's something to sum up after the instructions. So like you said, it doesn't have to be too long or big, but then if the instructions are clear, I think the ICQs would be, by that time, they would have understood 50% of it. You're just going to block the remaining, or you were just going to finish the remaining of it. So I think, what do you think about these?
These look good. So we were going through this. Then we were like, okay, we have to check if A is going to describe, if B is going to ask questions. So we just, it is just a difference of opinion.
I think
we
if I had asked you to write the instruction and then the ICQ, this would have been a little different.
Yeah, so that's probably
we didn't want to go through the entire process, so we took a little shortcut. Yeah, that's right. So these are the ICQs. Any questions or any point to be discussed on this? Can I move on to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, thanks. So yes, the reading activity. Ambika,
yes. Sajna, you want to go ahead?
Sure, Ambika, but I didn't note it down.
I'll pitch in whenever. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So again, I think similar to the other groups, I think we too did run out of time, definitely. So we came up with a total of 3 to 4 simple instructions. First, we told them, rather the instruction would be which column are we looking at, A or B. Once we find out that we are answering column A, we disregard column B. And then we ask them, what are we looking for in column B? And then we're going to ask them, are you going to be circling the right, are we going to be circling the right option for the question in column A? And because that right, did I miss out on anything?
No, so yeah, you said the final one. So the first two questions before that, we would check whether they would be doing this activity.
Working, yes, of course, in pairs or
individually. And then I'm assuming there's always a time set for the activity. So we would check whether, so how many minutes do you have for this? 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever is the time set. Like how you guys had mentioned in your activity, Nikita and Elena, in this one also we found that we cannot give the instruction for it completely. It's just our opinion. Smitha definitely might just blow our mind off with something good, but so what we thought was it can get complex if we give the instruction for the whole activity at one stretch. So we would personally take column A first, do the ICQs for column A, which Sanjana had mentioned and I pitched in. Then we would go into the column B. So if we don't, segregate it that way, it might be too many instructions at one go, and it can get a little bit intimidating for the student, is our opinion. Over to you, Smitha, to correct me.
Yeah, again, because we were too much, I think we were concentrating on instructions and not ICQs and that's what happened in both especially with such a complex task, we need to, simplify it a little bit, yes. But then we just wanted something which is very simple like this.
Okay.
Because by the time we would give the instructions clearly and then we would give ICQs this way is what is.
Can I add to this? Like here, for a complex activity like this, can we also split the groups in breakout rooms and then accordingly maybe give ICQs for group A and column B, dealing with column B, and then ask ICQ questions and instructions accordingly?
Doing that, yes, instructions, of course, like you said, instructions can be common, and then breakout rooms you can give individual ICQs depending on which group it is. Perfect. That I think would help them, understand
quick
a lot better.
doubt on what you said, Radha. So which means you will go into each of the rooms and give it separately, you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, is it possible? Like, before we start the activity?
But I find it might be, waste of time.
Okay.
It's going to be tedious.
When you're giving the instruction and thing for one, unless you have 2 trainers at the same time, I don't know how one trainer would be able to, or else the other group in the breakout room will be just sitting idle till you go there and give them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a practical difficulty I come up with. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, anybody else want to pitch in, please feel free.
No, I think I agree with you because as someone who uses breakout rooms quite often, it's already difficult for me to jump from one break room to another to make sure everyone's doing the activity. It's going to be very difficult if I give separate instructions as well. So I agree with you, Ambika, 100%.
Okay, probably depending the group and depending on the size, we can listen on that. And then the last would be the writing activity. This quite simple. These are the ICQs I would like to give. Is there any other ICQs apart from this? Last group, I think who did the last group? I'm not sure.
We only had 3.
So we had only 3.
Okay, fine. So we just look at the writing activity, and these are the. So any other thoughts on this?
I have a thought.
Yes.
Since you have a specific instruction about how the story should start, you should probably you should probably, ask. I'm sorry, I can't switch on my video. My dog just woke up from her nap and she's like jumping on me. I don't want her to be on the video. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think because there's a specific instruction about how the writing task should start, you should probably ICQ that as well. Asking, can you start it however you want, or have I given you some information to start with? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Nikita. So this is another question which we can discuss. It's an open discussion. Is it necessary in all levels? Is ICQ necessary for all levels of students? What are your thoughts?
Ma, you're on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry if someone else.
No, Sanjana, go ahead.
I think definitely it is important for all levels. I mean, given that I have joined here as a teacher facilitator and I myself didn't understand some of the instructions, I think it's fair to say that it's important for all the levels, because I think naturally, like everyone, irrespective of language ability or not, we all try, when someone's giving us a piece of information or news, we always try to pick the things that make more sense to us, so we're able to first grasp the basic and then move on to like the more nuanced aspects of it. So I definitely do think clearer the better in all aspects, irrespective if it's in a classroom or outside as well.
Thanks, Sanjana. And how different is it for different levels of students? Is it drastically different, or is it only the vocabulary needs to be changed? How different should it be for levels?
Can I continue, or was someone else supposed to speak? Okay. I think I would ideally like to say that I think it just differs based on how complex you're giving the instruction. I think from the very first activity itself that we did today, right, where we were talking about please do jot down, what you think, and then further going on. I mean, I think that itself can be more refined to make it more clear and concise, right? So the first example that we saw where it said the full sentence, jot down what you think. If you can't do it, please let me know, and so on and so forth. I think those can be more grasped by, let's say, like a B2 level students. But rather, if we're going to keep it more clear and concise, whether we remove those aspects in a sentence, I think then it would be catered more to like an A1 or an elementary level is what I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with Sanjan. I think here grading language and ICQ sort of interconnect, and so like a lot of what Aparna said as part of grading can be used to make your ICQs better. By speaking slowly, you can check if your students are understanding like better or not. So instead of asking ICQs rapid fire, you can grade, stage it and give. So yeah.
And I can add one more thing. If when we are doing the ICQs also, when we are giving them a choice, are you working individually or in pairs? You can use your fingers. Non-verbal can also help in the lower levels.
I think for kids also, like for kids, you sort of feed them the answer as you give the instructions. So like, how long are you going to take? And then you just show the hand. So they just look at your hand and tell you the answer. So yeah.
Correct.
Thanks everyone.
So also in the hard level, when we have enthusiastic learners, I think for them, especially in the hard level, who wants to speak more, I mean, I've usually come across that. For them, I think ICQs, read rating or, usually helps.
In fact, I'd like to add, I found ICQs a good way to even revise during IELTS lessons, especially when I'm doing IELTS task 2. And ICQ is how many words, or how long do you have to write this essay. So as an ICQ, you're still like constantly revising, okay, minimum 250 words, 40 minutes for the task. So I think ICQ helps in even getting it like, sure in their head about the task itself. So in that way, I feel ICQ is helpful for exam preparation courses also, and in a very significant way.
Yeah, because they initially when they practice, they tend to skip the instructions when they do the task. So you're actually making them understand that those instructions are the key to the task.
Yeah. Especially listening and all, they wouldn't even pay attention to the instructions sometimes.
Correct.
I'm sure Alina can add on to that because she's like, I think too many IELTS students.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And also, I feel like everyone's collective concentration levels have gone down. And sometimes when the teacher is giving an instruction, maybe someone zones out. Because that happened to me a lot too when I was a student. I would zone out while the teacher was giving instructions. So I think ICQs is a great way to bring them back. Yeah. Especially if you can see that glazed look in the students' eyes, you can say, okay, you've been on so many times. So I think that's a great way to bring them back, but in a less confrontational way.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, thank you so much, Smitha and Aparna. It is such a wonderful session. Like they say, time flies when we're learning and having fun. So that marks 4:30 on our clock. So which means Ambika's and Nikita's interesting sessions will have to wait another month. So I hope to see all you faces back again and a few new faces as well. It was lovely meeting you, Radha, Alina, and Sanjana, although I couldn't see you.
Yeah, sorry again. Like over here, my
That's
team
okay.
has been pretty bad.
Yeah, but I met your partner in crime. So I met her. She had a lot of inputs. I've picked up a lot of ideas from her. So thank you. That brings us to a closure of our TTT. I hope you all gained a lot from this lesson, as much as I have today. Look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So
Thank
we
you so
would
much.
be, since we would be continuing the classroom management session, if you do have any doubts on these areas of what Surya had mentioned, ICQs, giving feedbacks, overall reducing of TTT, grading language, please do put down the questions. We are having the second session the next month. So we'll take in questions as well and answer them, and, pulled out for discussion with all our experts here. So that, the input session is a little more effective.
And I think the next session comes on October 8th, if I'm not wrong.
Should be. That is so, yeah.
And thank you, everyone, and especially Ambika. I'm going to go back and try that on Monday and give you feedback.
Yes.
Of grading the language.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Nice meeting you. Have a good weekend.
Join us.
Thank you, Surya, for taking care of the
possible.
moderation.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. See you.
See you. Hey, Surya, you here? Yes. Okay.